The first open fight night I thought was a good idea on paper, but the execution of it needed work. Now, since they've had a month to refine the idea, I think the second open fight night was executed a little better, but it still needs work. The best part of the show for me, strangely enough, were the segments where Bobby Roode's opponent was selected, specifically the 8-minute pre-tape the show started with. Now, I know what you're thinking. Alright, just hear me out. Yes, it did go kind of long. Yes, the process by which Roode's opponent was chosen made no sense, and I'll get to that. But the reason I liked it was because of the production aspect. Now, when they did this last month, they basically just went around in a circle with all the tag teams and had them go, this is why we should get the title shot, and this is why we should get the title shot, and then Hogan just picked the team he liked the best. This time it was much better. AJ, Angle, Bully Ray, and Hardy all argued with Hogan over this, all making some good points. It put over the title, it put over Roode as the champion. It didn't seem fake or scripted like last month, or like it would have if they had done this on Raw. It felt like a real, honest, open forum. Plus, the reaction, Daco-style camera work really played into that, and the music accentuated everything nicely. We've seen this type of stuff a lot with the pre-tape segments for a while now, but this was especially well done. The whole thing felt like a reality show type of setting where, whether it was scripted or not, it didn't feel like it was. And I can honestly say that I've never seen a backstage segment in any company produced quite like that before. This was very different from every other kind of pre-tape I've seen, which is why I liked it. This is one of those things I love seeing TNA doing, just looking for ways of presenting pro wrestling that have not been tried before. This is the direction they need to go in, even if the production stuff does go over a lot of people's heads. You probably do need to have a background in it to really appreciate everything they did here. For example, Hogan talks about how certain guys laid the groundwork for the company and then new people started coming in, and then they cut to AJ for a second, they show him, and then they focus in on the poster on the wall behind him of Austin Aries with the X Division title. It was very subtle, they didn't call attention to it, but it said a lot by saying very little. And if you ask me, I really think we're going to get AJ versus Aries at Destination X, and I, for one, can't wait to see it. I thought this was an extremely well-made and compelling segment, so I was ready to give this part a thumbs up based on the production stuff alone. That being said, the selection process was still pretty screwed up and made even less sense than it did last month. Bully Ray is taken out. Okay, I can buy that. But later on, Hardy is taken out because, in Hogan's words, his victories have been coming too close, meaning that he has been winning matches, but he hasn't been winning decisively enough, I think. But once Hardy's out of the running, that leaves two guys left, both of whom have suffered high-profile losses recently. AJ to Angle, and Angle to Jeff Hardy. I don't get it. While I did love the way this was produced, creatively it was still not as effective as it should be. You're spending several segments hashing out who should face Roode tonight, when what you ought to do is choose the guy in one segment and spend the rest of the time building up the match, because I don't think the mystery of who the opponent is going to be is as compelling of a hook as the writers seem to think it is. Wouldn't it make more sense to choose the opponent right off the bat and then build up that guy versus Roode for the next hour and a half? That would be a better way to go about this, in my opinion.
Thank you for your irrelevant opinion.
So that part still needs to be worked out, but the production end, aces. So after this, Gail Kim and Madison Rayne come out, and they challenge Eric Young and ODB to a match because they suddenly have a big problem with Eric Young being one of the Knockout Tag Team Champions. So after like 2 months of this garbage, someone on this show is finally taking an issue with the fact that one of the women's championships is held by a man. This can only be a step in the right direction. But I have to ask, why is it only the heels that are doing this? I hate to go back to the Cody Deaner thing, but I have to. In that storyline, you had a man trying to get the women's title and a whole bunch of knockouts who opposed him. But all the women were portrayed as being in the right. They were the faces, and the man was the heel simply because he was laying claim to the women's championship. But here, it's the exact same fucking situation. A man with the women's title, except now he's the face for no reason that I can see, and the only women trying to put a stop to it are the heels.
This is ridiculous, man, any way you look at it.
So the babyface knockouts are okay with this all of a sudden? They hated Cody Deaner for doing this, but they're perfectly fine with Eric Young doing the same damn thing? Where's TNT? Are you telling me they don't have any issues with Eric Young holding one of their championships? Because if you try to tell me that, I will call bullshit so fast it'll make your head spin.
This whole show is ridiculous!
The match is not good because, you know, Eric Young, Madison Rayne, and ODB. But at least the right team won. Gail pins ODB while Madison holds her feet down, and Eric doesn't bother to help her because he's too busy being an idiot.
Will you sit down and quit making a fool out of yourself?
Hopefully that will earn the heels a title shot where, if there's a god, the women's tag team titles will switch back to a team that doesn't have Eric fucking Young on it. Then we had a segment that felt awfully pointless. Bob Van Dam comes out and challenges Gunner because of unfinished business that happened a while back. You know, when Gunner took out Van Dam and put him on the shelf for months, then did the same to Garrett Bischoff, who came back almost immediately, thus invalidating the whole thing.
Oh, what a bunch of bull.
This was weird. The announcers spent the whole match talking up Gunner, saying how much potential he has, how he's going to be a future world champion, and all that stuff. But then Van Dam beats him pretty quickly and pretty easily, so it kind of felt like they were just talking out their asses. And the finish made no sense. Van Dam kicks the chair into Gunner's face. Earl Hebner is 5 feet away, looking right at this, and yet doesn't call for a DQ. If it was a no DQ match, I don't think it was ever announced, so I don't know what the hell happened here, but it was fucking stupid. And it only seemed to be done to let Van Dam settle a score that I doubt anyone but him even remembered.
This whole show violates everything about my journalistic integrity.
Then we had the TV title defense, and God help me, I'm really beginning to dread these segments every week. Devon challenges Garrett I don't need no stinking charisma Bischoff because he eliminated Devon from the Battle Royal last week. It's 1 or 2 minutes of sleep-inducing action, and then the Robbies come out again. The Robbies try to beat the Faces down, Rob Terry botches the double clothesline spot, then the Faces dump them out of the ring. TNA, can we just please move on? Is it really that difficult to find some promising up-and-comers to put in the TV title picture instead of this cavalcade of ass clowns? Crimson, Gunner, Magnus, Austin Aries, Chris Sabin. You could throw Alex Silva in there. For crap's sake, you've already dragged it out for months. How much longer is this crappy feud going to continue?
Nobody cares about you guys.
Devon versus the Robbies has not produced a single match or promo that was even worth talking about, and now you're throwing Garrett in there, who you know damn well can't be relied upon to deliver either one? I didn't think there was a way for me to possibly give less of a shit about this pointless feud, but adding Baby Bischoff? Yeah, that would do it. Seriously, what difference is this supposed to make? Now Devon's got to carry 3 worthless scrubs on his back instead of 2.
Destination? Horror.
Then we had another Bully Ray-Joseph Park confrontation. Joseph Park thinks Bully Ray did something to Abyss, which we already knew. Bully Ray denies it, which he already did before, and then attacks him. And for the second time, the lawyer Joseph Park, for some reason, does not do what any lawyer would do in this situation and hit Bully Ray with an assault charge. I don't know why. This was not a bad segment by any means. It was actually a really entertaining segment. The promos were good, they play off each other beautifully, I enjoy the Joseph Park character a lot. The problem is nothing new happened. We didn't learn anything we didn't know before, and if you're not going to offer up anything new to progress this storyline, then you're just treading water, which is pretty much what this felt like. So, I like the segment on its own, but it really feels like the writers are just stalling now until Abyss comes back. After this was the gut check, and just 1 month into this thing, they've already kind of shot themselves in the foot. Alex Silva, the first gut check contestant, the first guy to get a contract through this angle, has not been seen or heard from for the last month. He hasn't had a match, a promo, a video package, or anything. And now they want us to get excited about this next guy's chances of earning a contract when the fans have already been conditioned to think that even if he does get signed, you may not do a damn thing with him, which completely undercuts the importance of this whole thing because the audience can't believe in it. Anyway, this month it was Joey Ryan from PWG, and he looked out big time getting to wrestle Austin Aries. And he did show a lot of personality, which is good. The match was okay. You know, he was a little bit sloppy with the pump handle slam, but he made a better impression than Alex Silva did, which you can probably attribute to the quality of his opponent. Plus, they gave him about twice as much time to wrestle as they gave Alex Silva. Now, would I sign him just based on that performance? I don't know. I could go either way. But they did do a more effective job of showcasing the guy than they did last month, so that was an improvement at least. Then we have the main event. The choice of opponents came down to AJ Styles and Kurt Angle, and they could have saved themselves a lot of time and deliberation by just choosing AJ right off the bat because that's his record Bobby Roode was about to break, but whatever. AJ gets the spot, and him and Roode have a really good match that went like 20 minutes. Though a lot of it took place during commercials, which was unfortunate because that was the best Impact main event in a while. Roode wins clean, which was fantastic. AJ was preoccupied by the Daniels and Kaz thing, which led to him getting pinned, but they never actually interfered, which I was glad about because that would have been way too predictable. So Roode wins a great match. He celebrates being the longest reigning TNA World Champion of all time. And then Hogan comes out, and finally, for the first time, he mentions that Impact is moving to 8 p.m. next week, and then Sting comes out and kicks Roode's ass.
Oh my God, he's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
So Hogan books a lumberjack match with Roode for the title next week without Sting having to do a damn thing to earn it, unsurprisingly. And that's what we fade out on. They did do something to hype up next week. They made this the big match the show will start with, so at least they tried. But it's Sting making another quote-unquote shocking return, which really means nothing at this point because Sting does this like twice a year, and every time it means a little bit less. And everyone knows that what AJ just delivered with Roode is going to blow away anything Sting is going to do next week. I just hope and pray that TNA are smart about it and do the right thing here. Let Roode beat Sting 100% clean, and then James Storm comes back setting up the Slammiversary main event. I mean, if Sting actually wins the title next week or gets the main event of Slammiversary, I can't think of a faster way for this product to go backwards. So that was this week. Generally a good show, but there were a lot of nitpicks. And here's two more. Number one, they're advertising the debut of Brooke Hogan, and they're doing it by, every time they go to commercials, showing a promo of Brooke taking her clothes off, which is a pretty good indicator of what they think of Brooke Hogan and what we're probably going to be in for when she shows up.
Therefore, I cannot and will not demean myself by engaging this ignoramus this evening.
And number two, we're 2 weeks into the Slammiversary build-up now, and I have absolutely no idea what the card is. No idea. At the time I'm recording this, one match has been announced. I don't even know which way they're going with a lot of these other feuds. And they're doing that pay-per-view outside the Impact Zone, so they need to kick the hype machine into gear because they've got a whole card to put together and not much time to do it. Now, I'm sure you're all waiting for my thoughts on the Alex Shelley situation. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm just really bummed out about it. In fact, I don't even want to talk about it right now because it's got me so upset. And maybe I'll talk about it later in another video, but not right now. I can't do it right now. For now, I'm signing off, so I'll see you guys next week, alright? Later.